This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website, portfolio, and online store. For a free trial and 10% off, visit squarespace.com and enter the offer code BOHD at checkout. A better web starts with your website. Hey guys, BoHD here, and I have the privilege of bringing you two of my favorite portable tablets currently on the market, the Nexus 7 and the Samsung Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4. On one end, you have a budget tablet that is relatively cheap running stock Android 4.4 KitKat, and on the other end, you have a more expensive tablet that has all the latest specs with Samsung's TouchWiz UI. So if we first take a look at the hardware, we'll see that these are two very well built and well designed devices. The Nexus 7, for example, is relatively simple in that it has your standard power on, sleep, wake button and volume controls on the right hand side with nothing on the left hand side. Up top, you'll find a 3.5mm headphone jack with a micro USB charging port down below, and then on the back you'll find a 5-megapixel camera along with the two stereo speakers with a soft touch plastic matted back that feels really nice on the hands and offers a much better feel than a glossy, slimy plastic back found on many other tablets. Now if we look at the Samsung Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4, you'll see that it too has a very simple button layout with a few added features, as it has your standard power, sleep, on-off button and volume controls, along with an IR blaster on the right hand side, with an SD card slot on the left hand side. Up top you'll find the 3.5mm headphone jack, and then the micro USB charging port and dual speakers down below at the bottom. If we flip this tab over, we'll find an 8-megapixel camera and flash with a very nice black leather back that I actually really enjoyed, as it feels very nice to the touch and makes this tablet feel very easy to grip, while also making it feel like a very premium, high quality device. So I gotta give Samsung props here for replacing their slimy plastic with this leather, as I have really grown to love it. Now, arguably one of the most important aspects of a tablet is its display, and thankfully both the Nexus 7 and Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4 have great displays. On the Nexus 7, you have a full 1080p LCD display with excellent color representation that does a very good job at displaying whites and blacks with very little yellow tint, which tends to be the case with other displays on other devices. And with a 1080p resolution packed into a 7-inch form factor, the 2013 Nexus 7 has a pixel per inch index of 323, ultimately translating to very crisp and dense images. Now on the Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4, we have a similar situation in that the display is certainly impressive, if not more impressive than the Nexus 7. For example, you have an 8.4-inch display with a 2560 by 1600 resolution, which is one of the highest display resolutions for a tablet this size. This of course will translate to incredibly sharp images and videos along with vibrant colors thanks to the Super LCD display, but as for the pixel per inch index, it's only slightly higher than the Nexus 7, coming in at 359. So either way, whether you have the Nexus 7 or Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4, you really shouldn't be disappointed with either display. If we switch gears and take a look at the software and how these two tablets perform, we'll see that this is where the two devices really separate themselves from each other. With the Nexus 7, you have the latest version of stock Android, which happens to be Android 4.4.2 KitKat, and I gotta say, it's hard to beat stock Android. It's the operating system that comes directly from Google, so you don't get any bloatware or unnecessary apps, and everything just works like it is supposed to. It's buttery smooth and fluid thanks in part to the stock OS, and also the Snapdragon S4 quad-core processor paired with 2GB of RAM. But it's really the OS and the proper optimization it has with the hardware that makes this tablet truly impressive performance-wise. It's one of those things you really can't truly appreciate until you experience it yourself, but it does have some downsides that center around the lack of features. For example, you don't really have any sort of knock-on features to wake up the display or any multi-view multitasking options, and the camera app is pretty bare and minimalistic in that there's really only a few different camera options, such as panorama mode, HDR mode, and then the photosphere. Besides that, there's really not much else, which could be a deal breaker for people who use a lot of the features third-party manufacturers throw in their devices, such as Samsung and their Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4. With the Tab 8.4, you have Samsung's infamous TouchWiz UI, which is dramatically different than the stock Android OS, in that this version of TouchWiz you have your main home screen with all the apps and widgets, and then you have two other home screens that display various news and notifications in a flipboard sort of orientation. On top of that, you have a ton of Samsung's features, such as multi-view, which lets you pin two applications on the screen at once, and then there's a ton of camera features and modes that let you take pictures in all sorts of different scenarios. There's beauty shot, HDR mode, sports mode, eraser mode, and a ton others that let you customize your pictures to just about whatever you'd like. So once again, if you're someone who really loves features, this may be a great option for you. But as we look at TouchWiz as a whole, I must say it is constantly getting better with each iteration, but I still get the feeling that it is not properly optimized with the hardware, which for the Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4 is the 2.3 GHz Snapdragon 800 quad-core chip paired with 2 GB of RAM. Everything is super fast, which is to be expected with all that power, but the fluidity and smoothness is just something that is not quite there, especially when you relate it to stock Android, where everything is visually smooth and stutter-free for the most part. But if you can look past some of the stuttering and hiccups that you experience here and there, you will find that everything just loads faster than the Nexus 7, even if it doesn't look as good doing so. If we take a look at the battery life of these two tablets, we'll see that the Nexus 7 has a 3950 mAh battery, while the Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4 has a 4800 mAh battery. Side by side, the Galaxy Tab Pro has the larger battery, but it also has higher end specs that take up and require more power, such as that high resolution display and quad-core Snapdragon processor, which actually eats up a lot of power when you're using it. This is compared to the smaller battery in the Nexus 7, but the Nexus 7 doesn't have quite as high-end specs that require as much power, so you actually use the tablet for longer periods of time than the Galaxy Tab Pro. But both devices are running the latest versions of Android 4.4.2 KitKat, so both devices do get the improved battery life KitKat has to offer. But once again, I found the Nexus 7 to last longer on a single charge than the Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4. Now before I wrap up this comparison, I want to take a look at our sponsor Squarespace. Now Squarespace is a really cool website that lets you create your own websites in a very simple and easy to do fashion. I've actually been working on my own website for a while now, and while it's not quite done, I've really grown to like the simplicity of this site. For example, you can just drag and drop content to help build your site, and at any time if you have any problems, you can talk to their 24/7 customer support line through live chat and email. Plans start at just $8 a month and includes a free domain if you sign up for a year, and every site comes with a responsive design and online store. You can start your free trial today with no credit card needed, and if you decide to sign up for Squarespace, make sure to use the offer code BOHD to get 10% off your purchase. But I want to thank Squarespace for their support, and I definitely recommend you check them out if you're interested in creating your very own website. So to conclude this comparison, I need to talk about the price, because these are two very different tablets, in that one is a budget tablet that is relatively cheap, and one is a performance tablet that offers higher end specs, but for more money. Now every time I compare a device against a Nexus device, I always have a hard time suggesting anything else, generally just because you get a well-designed device that functions well for generally less than the competition. At least that's what you get with the Nexus 5 and Nexus 7. So for $200 give or take, the Nexus 7 should be able to handle all the latest apps you throw at it. I mean, if you're short on money and you don't need a big display and you don't really do a ton of high performance tasks such as photo editing, and you just want a tablet that works and works well, by all means the Nexus 7 is the tablet for you. On the other hand, if you want a tablet with the latest specs and you're willing to pay $400 for a super high resolution display and the latest quad-core processor that won't be outdated for a while, then I definitely recommend the Samsung Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4. But no matter what tablet you decide on, you should be happy with your purchase, because these are two of some of the best tablets currently on the market. But if you do have one of these tablets or are thinking about purchasing one, let me know which one you decide on and why by leaving me a comment right down below next to that thumbs up button. And if you're new to my channel and would like to see more tech videos like this one, don't forget to hit that subscribe button right down here so you can stay up to date with all the latest tech videos. But with that said, that's gonna about do it for this video, guys. If you want to take a look at my first look and unboxing of the HTC One M8, you can do so right down below, or you can take a look at my review of the LG G Pad Google Play Edition tablet if that's something you'd be interested in. But as always guys, I'm BoHD from How To and More. Thanks for watching.